We're educating students to get out and do something that doesn't exist. Writing may not even be the proper format for communicating. You write something that's dead because no one ever reads it. We need to maintain our control over it or the output is going to be terrible. I'm going to tell you, you can always use it in this class, but you always have to tell me when you used it and you have to tell me how you used it.
Now that person who maybe could never run a business properly might be able to with AI. At what point, when you give someone the ability to become a millionaire overnight, does like our whole system start to become in question?
And I think some of it's going to be AI help me make the big idea. And other things are going to be AI. It's Wednesday. This sucks. Tell me why I may be feeling this sucks.
I think
Right.
we'll be creative, and here's a new set of tools to be creative with. It feels like every restriction has been removed. Like, how weird or emotional or like comforting can you make an experience when you consider all of those restrictions that we used to have aren't there anymore?
Yeah. I don't think you're going to try to give me a gotcha thing, you know?
That's the whole plan here. I've been 20 years to get to this situation.
You've got all that pent up anxiety from being in school. By the way, tell me what you're doing right now first.
A little bit of everything and probably too many things. I keep starting new projects and I'm close to losing my mind, but I haven't yet. So that's good.
Okay, that's good.
But basically we have the agency, which I rebranded to the Alchemy Agency recently because I've had basically the whole career, and it started in college, which was, we were learning how to make products and also learning what product development does to the world. It's like this empathy, design thinking, let's make stuff and help people. And also, by the way, probably what you might do is just get a job at some company, make a whole bunch of garbage. But that was the path. And whether you're a creative person or selling your insurance, I mean, this is society, you know what I mean? And so I've never, for whatever reason, been able to get over that. And I've always had this kind of like love and hate relationship with just making stuff because of the awareness of that reality. And I would bail and just, I don't know, work at a farm or something, but I like making things. And so that's what this is, right? Like just the acknowledgement of that. And same with AI. It's like these new technologies happen and it's like, wow, this could end the world, or it could cure every disease,
Right.
And these are the discussions I want to have here because it always feels like people pick a side and they're like, fuck AI. I hate this crap. It's killing creativity. Or, oh my God, AI, like everything is amazing about it. You know what I mean? And just have conversations about that in between space and think about the nuance and think critically about it. And then also we're developing a little AI product. It's like a mental health AI email tool. And so who are you? Why don't we talk about the fact that you were my teacher and what are you doing?
Yeah, I was your teacher when you were Mikie.
Yeah, I still am actually.
Oh, you still are? Okay, good.
I tried to quit it, but it couldn't quit me.
It didn't work? Okay. Yeah, and I know. So yeah, I'm still teaching in industrial design. It's changed so much, the field and the university and the students, and even where we teach them and how we teach them and who they are, which is great because I keep telling people the reason I got into this instead of staying as a professional was because my parents didn't know what Ritalin was. And it's kind of true because I couldn't just, I would get bored. I would get bored. And so it's good. But every now and then I'll get really bored. I mean, a couple years and kind of change the classes I'm teaching. And usually what I'm teaching now didn't exist when you were in school. And probably, but it's what you're doing right now. Like the thing is, it's been really good to understand that we're not educating students to get out and do something. We're educating students to get out and do something that doesn't exist, right? And I was just kind of looking at stuff for this, and I was reading articles from 2000 about creativity and designers and educating designers. And in 2001, Denise Scott Brown, the wife of Robert Venturi, really well-known architects, and she said, it's the next Nobel Prize is not going to be designed in the workbench or the lab. It's going to come out of the coffee shop. It's going to be two different people having a conversation. And now the conversation that may spur the next Nobel Prize might be a human having a conversation with AI, right? Because the problems with AI, the big backlash is the student is just going to write a paper and I can't give students those assignments anymore. Well, maybe you shouldn't be giving students those assignments.
Okay.
You know, maybe you shouldn't say, hey, compare this book to this book and write about it. Also, writing may not even be the proper format for communicating, right? How many students are being told to write in an educational way? Well, they'll never, it's just not going to get their point across in the real world. You write something that's dead because no one ever reads it.
Right.
Right. And so so I kind of, what we're doing is we're teaching them to be academics, right? Because in an academic, you read everything that's going on, that you cite it because you got to make sure people understand where it came from. You add your citations, you put it out there, people read and they react to your stuff. Well, that's okay, but that doesn't functionally happen in the world today. It's not about reading. It's not about that. There's a method, a mode that doesn't exist. So now you're reading stuff, but it's shorter. You're looking at pictures, looking at video. You're looking at little kittens going on vacation. You're cutting glass fruit up. You know, it's just one of the things that we're going to have to learn. And academia is really behind. And I went through that with the digital technology. When I got to SU, I was coming from professional world where you learned how to use whatever software was there. And it was like Illustrator, Photoshop, that kind of thing. Yep. You probably all still use that.
I do.
Yeah, I do too. I hate to admit it, that sometimes I have to take a step back and kind of relearn it. But those are the tools that, we use those tools. At one point, it was like, teach the students to use those tools, and that's what they'll do when they get out. Right. And so when I was starting to teach, it was after the first .com boom, when everybody was starting their new big funded multi-million-dollar thing that was going to go broke in the next year, sitting on the floor. They were starting it sitting on the floor. It was going to go broke the next year. Anyway, but all the academics were saying, oh, I'm not going to use computers. They'll learn that later. I'm teaching them more important stuff. Well, no, they've got to be literate on that speed. They've got to be literate. They don't need to be taught how to use a pen and ink to draw things.
Sure.
Right. And so I think that's laziness that a lot of academics didn't want to learn how to do that. Well, now there are a lot of academics that still, not only can they don't care about the tools, they care about the method, the way they want people to think. And so, but now you've got students. So you go into the library now and it's not quiet. You don't have to go through something that's checking to see if you're stealing books. There's a coffee shop in there. And you rent out a teaming room. It's a little glass room, bunch of little glass rooms, and you sit with 3 other people and you work through a project verbally, talking. In fact, you might have one person from a different major, and that's the way students are being taught when they're being taught well. But remember that old thing where you're sitting in a carrel. They would even have, so keep it quiet, you couldn't see. And they have a few carrels you can see, but the thing is, that's not how students think through things. That's not how students work. It's not about me internally coming up with an idea from beginning to end, right? It's about me trying new things, about bouncing it off my friends. It's about finding somebody to write the code, because I don't write the code, but I have a great idea and I need some code. And if I can't write the code, I can have AI write the code, And so I think that's going to lead, education is so far, sometimes education can be really behind. And so, and some students, although we also get students who come in and it's like, where's the rubric? Now, when you were a student, you probably did not even give you written assignments.
I think there was a flyer sometimes, but it was
Okay, 1 page.
yeah.
Okay, my last assignment was 8.5 pages long. Yeah,
Okay.
uh, yeah. Although uh, it was only because there were so many different parts. Right, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, but that's not exactly the best way to do it either. But it's not. But then the students say, "Where's the rubric? How do I know how to get an A?"
Mm,
And how do I know what value this is and that is and that is? And they're coming from K through 12, and they're being, K through 12 teachers are being taught. They need to know what you expect of them. Yeah, I understand, but the best thing to do is not to give somebody check boxes and say, I did this, I did that, I did that, I did that, and I'm done. Because you can't, nobody does that in the real world. And if you do that in the real world, you don't like that job.
right.
Right. So I think that so one of the things is, yes, students are very adaptive. They're not happy to work in groups, because group projects still suck when you're in college, but they're happy to talk to each other. They're happy to work that way. They do not want to sit with a book. They do not want to write. Everything from AI is a bunch of scraped data, right?
Right.
So there's a reason this is not. If you look up something, if I say go to ChatGPT and put in a prompt,
Yeah.
and you put in a prompt and ask it something, and I put in that same prompt into ChatGPT, we're going to get different answers. Some of it is based on your input in ChatGPT. Some of it's based on where you are. Some of it might be based on if it's one day later, because ChatGPT is scraping things. But it's gonna know that you're more interested in this kind of stuff and you like things like that. And we could even find a new agentic engine and try it and see. And I would get still gonna be different,
Hmm.
because there's too many things going into this. In fact, I've done some of this, and I had a friend, I was giving a talk, and I had him, he came up with one sentence: give me a biography about Zeke Leonard and his creative work. And that was him.
Okay.
So he even used the third person. And his was 4 paragraphs long and had citations built into it. So I copied and pasted his question, and I got 3 paragraphs, no citations.
And also it lies, like,
Yes.
because like I'll ask it to cite sources, and now it knows that I'm probably going to ask for sources, and so it'll more often not give me. And then you click the link, and it's like, well, that wasn't real.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
and you can say things like, "Never lie to me," and I'll be like, "Okay, my bad. I'll never lie to you again," and
Yeah.
it'll proceed to lie to you. And like, because it
Yeah.
doesn't. And I think people don't quite, because this is new. It's not on them.
Yeah.
Like we think that, oh, this
Right.
thing is a conscious being and it's here with me, and every time I type, it understands. And there's
Mhm.
not a ton of education for anybody,
Right.
at least outside of school, because that's the only world I know right now. Unless you take it upon yourself to figure it out. It's like people, I don't know, they're 40 plus, 50 plus are using it as a Google. People between
Mhm.
30 to 40 are using it as kind of lifestyle component to
Right.
get recipes and things. And then people below that are like building, I don't know, empires already, are starting to think about it that way, which is, I'm
Yeah.
trying to like, because I feel like I'm nearing that how does a VCR work age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, don't do it, fight it. You can learn this, like
Yes.
you have to. And that's the other, and that's the other kind of give and take about any of this new technology stuff, is it happens, and then we just got to keep up or not. And it's like, so sometimes it feels like, I don't, maybe I'll be Amish. Am I betraying by joining this AI cause? Am
Yeah.
I just betraying myself and not talking about the real question of should we,
Right.
like, do we have a choice? And is that a problem that we don't? I don't know.
Well, I don't think we do. I think if you don't learn it, you're going to be stuck with the people who are doing the little low end thing.
Right.
Do a flyer for, our pancake breakfast.
Well, even
And
AI,
that's all you're going
it's gonna
to.
the AI does great flyers. Like, I don't,
Yeah, it does. Right.
I don't know.
It does. But the thing is, students. So one of the freshman faculty, I think it was in political science, she put up some questions of assignments she had given before,
Okay.
and said, I want here you're gonna read two papers. One was done by a student, one was done by AI, and she had them evaluate it. And what's interesting is people love to have comments. They love to have opinions. So if you can teach people that I run AI, I'm not just a receiver,
Right.
right? I'm going to evaluate what AI said to me, and I'm going to say, that's a great idea. Tell me more, or don't do that, or that do less of this, or you suck and I'm better at it.
Yeah.
Because, we need to maintain our control over it, or the output is going to be terrible. And one of the things that what I'm going to do this semester, because I'm teaching freshmen, the thing I'm saying, AI, so you're not looking up a dictionary, you're not looking up Wikipedia, you're not answering a question, but I'm not going to tell you can't use it. I'm going to tell you can always use it in this class, but you always have to tell me when you used it, and you have to tell me how you used it. And I'm going to explain to them that AI is like Google. It kind of knows everything, but it knows language based. It knows functional data, coding. It knows visual data. It's learning from all of these different things. And so it's answering from all of these different ways. So the thing is, I could give them an assignment where they have to have an argument with AI or something. The thing is to get students to be more likely to find weird things and not just put in the assignment.
Right. I mean, it's such a like the very practical application is okay, go build a business with AI and you and your friend needs to do it and like consider all of the realities like legal, financial, marketing. That was some of the stuff that I wish that I had
Yeah.
considered more when I was in college, just because of the
Right.
practicality. Like I thought, oh, I don't know, I'll just get a business guy. And then
Yeah.
like, and that doesn't work.
Right.
And so that's the process of growing up, I guess. But connecting those dots in the way where, like, I think one of the things that I think is really exciting and hopeful about AI is creatives have always been either you're an artist and you're making a living as an artist, whether that's music or like true art. But as soon as you become like a creative for the corporate world, it
Yeah.
feels like you are 99.99% of the time a subordinate and like many levels down. You know, I like the idea of where now more people with more empathy and creativity and like all of
Yeah.
these things, like now that person who maybe could never run a business properly might be able to with AI.
Yeah. And even look at the outliers like Steve Jobs.
Sure.
I actually have the little video clip of when he introduced at one of the Apple conferences. Our next thing is going to be the iPhone. It's going to take pictures. It's going to have apps. Here's what an app is. We're not going to make all the apps. We're going to let other people make the apps. And it was like, and I think I remember telling students, that's stupid. A phone will never be on every, camera will never be on every phone.
I also thought cameras on phones were stupid.
I know.
Like, you know,
It might have been your class. I might have said that to you guys.
but I feel like that wasn't well. Like when the first flip phones came out, they had cameras on them, and I'm like, what is
Yeah.
the point of this? I also thought texting was stupid. Back to
Oh, yeah.
AI. So
Hmm.
one of the things you said when we were talking about it was this idea that like we think that they're going to just use it to cheat on papers, and really it's
Hmm.
so much more beyond that. Like, does it feel like are we just going to get lapped? You know, like are the students going to figure out AI to the point where versions of education almost become I don't want to say obsolete, but like at what point when you give someone the ability to become a millionaire overnight does like our whole system start to become in question? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I could it be, and did that, well, there's a bunch of things hitting at the same time. There's AI, but there's also different kinds of money and people making money.
Right.
Yes, you get the guys looking at their phone because they made $32 today. That's what the fraternity guys do. They all
Like on crypto or what?
they're all crypto.
Yeah.
Yeah, we call them crypto bros, right? So that whole idea of building wealth of my life is different, very different, especially that, and not wanting to work in an office.
Right.
Right. So when you said you've never like you've built a career not going into the office, not working for anybody, but working for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Probably working with a lot of people, right?
Yes.
So, yeah. So I think you're a little bit ahead of what you're closer to what they're thinking, right? And people saying, "Well, I'll get a job and I'll hear from students, recent graduates, you're living in Denver, who are you working for? Oh, the same place in New Jersey. Oh, but they're, so
Yeah.
it never occurred to them that they needed to live where they're working.
Right. Right. Which, yeah. And I guess there's, I don't know. Yeah. Like the idea of like the corporate job always felt like death to me. And
Mhm.
I did it a couple times. And
Mhm.
I think the more disturbing reality of it was how comfortable I got. That was what
Oh,
scared me
yeah.
because I was like, oh, this is kind of nice, actually. What, just recurring paycheck and I dick around for 80% of the day and that's fine,
Mhm.
you know? But those things never really lasted. But yeah, I mean, it does feel like I mean, there's all these articles saying like the future is going to be like 3 people in a room building billion-dollar companies with some
Mhm.
combination of AI. Um, and how do we get there? Does that,
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've already lived through the fact that for people like us in creative, literally hands-on creatives, used to being hands-on creatives, right? Now you're hands-on, but you're on a computer and you're on your phone and you get other people to do what you need. Like, can you code this for me?
right?
Um, so I don't think it's going to be that much different. It'll be a switch, but I was giving this talk to a bunch of people who are woodworkers, and we were talking about AI, which was really interesting because they were scared to death, right? Although some of them were curators and a lot of academics were there because everyone who does woodworking, fine woodworking also needs to teach. But I said, okay, and so I made this little audio thing. Let's say that you're working on your own and you love, the work of one person, and who was it? I was using, I will actually give you the prompt that I gave them.
Yeah, is prompt engineering, is that a class now? Like
Yeah.
are they teaching
Oh, well,
sort of like how to prompt? Is that becoming a big thing?
not yet,
Okay.
but you know what? They are teaching the admins how to prompt,
Yeah.
right? People who work in offices. And there's a guy at the Figma conference 2 years ago that owns a branding firm,
Yeah.
and he said, "Okay, how do we use AI at scale? How do we integrate it? We have like 40 different clients and we do work for them on an ongoing basis. When they need something new, can AI know the way we use language for them, know all of that stuff, and kind of create a rough?" And you could see people in the audience kind of nervous because you're taking my job. But then if you want to be really smart, then you're going to look at it and say, okay, this is 2025, so we need to change this. The emphasis is different. So to go in and analyze and fix that, and to evaluate that, and to understand that now our clients, or not our clients, our customers need something new.
Mm.
And to even understand that will elevate people from middle of the road to being a little bit more like the top guy. So the level of decision making that you'll do will move up.
Sure.
I don't know if that'll mean there'll be less people or not, although I do know that design from the 50s used to take a lot more time and be a lot more expensive because how many hours you were billing, because you're doing everything by hand.
Yeah, and I do feel like the little universe that I've been building, it feels like okay, another shit show to relearn. Like, okay, we're kind of built scrappy for that, and that's
Mm-hmm.
and I
Mm-hmm.
and I think that personally, I've always had that entrepreneurial mindset, which is not always a good thing. Let me tell you, it's not bragging, but like I do think it's true. And but also like not everybody wants that, and
Right.
like it's easy, I think, to look at this sort of new version of the future, be like, that's okay. Everyone will be an entrepreneur now. It's going to be awesome. It's like, well, people don't want to do that shit. Like some people are perfectly happy with the regular nine.
Yes.
And not to say that every 9 to 5 is going to go away. I don't think that's going to
Right.
happen, but
And design now, there's a lot more people doing design, you know?
yeah.
So so the fact that it's faster and can be done cheaper, not really,
Right.
more cost efficient, has actually given us more design instead of less, because more people are hiring designers. Designers are doing more important stuff. They're making more important decisions. I think that'll happen. But the thing I was looking at, I said to ChatGPT, a hypothetical conversation between William Morris and say you're a woodworker and you love William Morris, but you've actually built a GPT that knows that you put some quotes, you put some writings, but you've also done the book How I Became a Socialist. He wrote this book.
Okay.
You put that in there, like that fits. That's what you love. So you actually adjusted William Morris to be the William Morris you like. And like, what if you wanted to say, man, I am so frustrated today. I spent all day selling my stuff and fixing my website. And hey, William, help me through this.
Right.
And the GPT just said, well, you know what? Maybe if you thought you weren't doing anything, but even when you're mixing those colors, that's creative. Your brain, it could like give you a little pep talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you could also, a scholar could put in certain areas of some person that they wanted to study and query that, as long as you're telling people what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to think about. It's fun. Like you mix Albert Einstein and Frida Kahlo and Zach Galifianakis, because why not?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
this is now my best friend. He's digital.
Yeah.
And
you play poker with them, right?
yeah, right. Yeah. And then again, and this is the thing, all of these thought experiments lead to like Black Mirrors and really cool things. It's like, okay, then like we're just gonna hang out in our home, and I built all my best friends. They're here with me in my, like I have a suite of them. And I'll if they say something that I don't like, I'll be like a little bit less.
Yeah, I did have another one where I had a really wizened old lady who's been making furniture, her intern in there.
Yeah.
And he was asking questions. And then the GPT that knew everything about her career and also everything about the technical, this wood reacts that way. So when she says, this wood gets darker faster, the intern can say later in the evening or even right now, why? Because the artisan, the 80-year-old lady may be like, I don't know.
Uh-huh.
And then when someone says, and then GPT or chat could just say, well, it's the sunlight is doing this and it's oxidizing. Okay. So if you can imagine a way to do a 3-way conversation, that would be really interesting, right? And then this whole thing is recorded. And when this person dies, you've got 20 years of her working with these people, and you got the one who became really famous, and and what is, you've got so much data that you got to have a good query, because otherwise it's kind of like when Amazon used, you wouldn't still buying books. They used to sell books, but then you would buy like a book for a niece or nephew, and all of a sudden everything I got was here's the Snuffleupagus, but the new Snuffleupagus book, or something. Little House on the Prairie. Would you like this? No, because they were scraping all that data and they weren't smart enough to do that. Well, now Identics, it's going to be a little bit smarter and like, hey, what's happened in this workshop over 20 years are, well, and I go in there and say, what were the kind of questions people asked the first week? And it might be able to say, well, these kinds of things are, what's the weirdest question, or what's the most unusual, or what did so-and-so ask when they were in here?
Well, that's interesting, because that's like marketing work, getting to what do people actually want. And I think that's something that took me forever, because I think I went to school for product design because I wanted to make my ideas, want to make inventions. And that's a lot of entrepreneurs, I think. And then a lot of people find themselves in the situation where, cool, I made the thing. Doesn't everyone think it's great? And it's like, oh no, because you didn't ask anyone.
Right.
And
right.
like the marketing and the research work, and we did some of that, but I guess we didn't call it marketing. But
And even what is marketing has changed. Like when I was just out, marketing was going to Los Angeles and New York and asking people, did they like it?
mm,
And then they realized if it was something brand new, they didn't know. They said they didn't want it, right? Because when Apple got rid of floppy disks, we said we need floppy disks. No, we didn't. You know, when Apple put cameras on phones, we said that's stupid. Well, no, the world has changed to know that you're probably on camera.
yeah, right. And now it's happening again. There's this new
Mhm.
shift where it's like, that's dumb. We don't want this AI, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
cool. Let's talk in 5 years.
Yeah, but I also want my doctor to know what my medical history was.
Right.
I also want my doctor to be able to look up females of my age and understand what that is. I also want, I want them to know if everybody on my block dies and has three eyes,
Right.
I
Sure.
so so, you know, anonymization of data it needs to be happening, and usually it'll be anonymized just because there's so much data.
Yeah. Well, and it also the doctor thing is interesting because it starts to empower us because there's so many. I was talking to one potential client about some
Mhm.
AI for medical stuff, and
Yeah.
the reality of the I think it's pretty safe to say that the medical system is flawed in some
Yes.
way. And I think it's cool to think about the sort of like holistic uh,
Mhm.
versions of health, which just still don't seem to be that mainstream,
Yeah.
and how AI can help really address your whole body. So maybe you've got a doctor who's going to help you in some way, but if the AI is there too, who knows what you actually need and maybe knows, your diet, your habits, et cetera, say, okay, here's a bunch of stuff that the doctor doesn't know about is that you've been drinking
Right.
a lot.
Right.
Like
Right.
maybe,
Maybe you don't want to do that. Yeah.
what have you learned in this AI world? Like, I guess what's your temperature check? Like, just where do you stand with it, and what do you think is a good takeaway for people, like in general, to just sort of consider?
I'm really irritated by other people's reactions to it. I'm irritated by students using it terribly.
Okay.
I'm irritated by faculty just saying no. But if we think about this as a fluid thing,
Yeah.
if we think about a discussion, if we think about asking questions, I've gone through a couple rabbit holes and go ahead and do that. Um, I I think that'll be fine, but I think there's going to be so many people who just want the answer,
Right.
right?
There's going to be a chunk of us who are just along for this ride, knowing that every new technology you jump into, the next day it's going to be obsolete. But because you were there for the ride, you understand the next thing,
Right.
maybe, and that's mental gymnastics, and it just kind of is what it is,
Mhm.
like because I'm still seeing a lot of just like fuck AI, and like I'm like cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
But but I'm ready to say, hey, write me something like 10th century Japanese because I like this book,
Yeah.
and then because who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's gonna be the same thing, but it's gonna be just like the guy who stayed and drew very quietly, very well, and all he did was draw, and he continued to draw until he died
Mm.
at his drawing board, and that's fine. And they're going to be people who only use AI every day. Because they're so easy to make AI tools.
Yeah.
99% of them are going to be stupid, but the 1% of them that are going to be amazing are going to be amazing.
And also, I'm hoping I've been doing improv lately, so I'm a big into yes and.
Cool.
It's very very therapeutic, terrifying. They make us perform, which I didn't know when I but the so I'm big into yes and lately, trying to be because I think I was a yes but a no
Mhm.
for a long time,
Okay.
which did not serve me. And
Yeah.
yes, even with the artist who only
Mhm.
wants to draw.
Right.
Plenty of people who are successful artists on social media who are like traditional. This is my art, and I've documented my process, and now I'm a millionaire because I'm doing my art. So that plus
Yeah.
it's like for every one of those, there's 1,000 people who are not successful selling their art,
Right.
right? And so can that person get the leg up by this hybridization of sure, maybe you don't want to go full AI, but this AI can help you do the thing that
Mhm.
you do love to do. This is my hope, you know?
Yeah. And I think some of it's going to be AI help me make the big idea. And
Yeah.
other things are going to be AI. It's Wednesday. This sucks. Tell me why I may be feeling this sucks. And I think that it might help us become more introspective. I don't I don't think we're going to end up alone because they said that when computers came out. They said that when email came out.
Yeah, I think it's a fear-based thinking, but I think it's also natural
Yeah,
to consider.
it is.
It's good
And
to
we should be
consider,
aware of it.
really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Best case, it takes away a lot of the pain in the ass stuff and like,
Hmm.
and the impact on jobs. Like, are we gonna see some kind of universal basic income, or is it gonna be sink or swim?
Yeah.
Find out.
But I don't see the Wall-E thing happening to
I
us.
was just gonna say Wally.
Yeah. I mean, that was such a smart idea of a movie, and they completely, like, it's entered the zeitgeist, and we use that as a touch point. I just still think we're going to want to be more, we're not going to put up with, look at the entertainment that's out there, even on the screen. It's not what I watch on Tuesday nights. It's, I'm going to go watch all of this, and then I'm going to watch something else. And even the way we choose to engage
Yeah.
in these things, I have to say that humanity is, they need too much input, and input is always going to require some creativity.
Mhm.
I hope, unless AI gets really creative.
Even still, like I still think it's yes, and like I don't think that AI getting creative means that people won't like still be creative in every way that we are. I think
Right.
we'll be creative, and here's a new set of tools to be creative with, and like it's
Hmm.
everything that came before and this too. And a lot
Hmm.
of people are gonna make a bunch of crappy stuff and rip off your art, rip off music,
Absolutely.
and that's gonna happen. That sucks. And also, you
Hmm.
can still be creative and make new stuff.
So I do think that what people expect, I'm hoping,
Yeah.
will become broader. Instead of, I work from 9 to 5. By the way, I had this job the day I graduated from college, and I'm going to retire there at 65, and then I'm going to retire and just hang out. See, that doesn't happen anymore. Well,
And was it ever,
yeah,
did it, this is, I think it may be a good thing that that's not, I,
yeah, exactly.
in this
Right.
imagined utopia, whatever that looks like, I don't think it's filled
Hmm.
with people going to work for 50 years and then
Yeah.
retiring, you know? And I think the
Yeah.
ways, and that could be an interesting exercise, um, as a project, is just like, how can you use this product to connect people in real life? Like
Hmm.
how do you, because everything is AI, it's in here, it gives you the answers, talking to other
Hmm.
AIs and making these things that all exist in this
Hmm.
digital realm. But like, how can you take that and create something that's physical, right?
Right.
Physical experience. Is it a game? Is it whatever? I don't know.
Well, we use it a lot. I mean, the maker culture
Yeah.
has expanded at the very, because of technology,
Yeah.
right? So instead of having, well, people still hang out at the shop at school, but we also have 15 3D printers on the floor, and they just use it whenever,
Right.
which is fun because finally somebody will say, oh, yeah, I made this sculpture 18 inches high. I took a 3D photograph of it, and I put it, and I made some tiny little uh, things, and I'm 3D printing those, and I'm making different shapes of this guy's head. And they got like 20 little weird heads. Like, that's what I want to see.
Yeah. Just
Yeah,
creative, weird shit.
nothing is precious all the way, and it's coming all the way from the pottery studio to the studio on, and it's non assignment, and it's just there.
It feels like every restriction has been removed. Like we were trained that, okay, well, you have to learn to read. You read the book, then you learn the
Mhm.
encyclopedia, then we replace that with the internet, and then you look up the internet, and that's how you learn things. And then if you need help, you go to your accountant, you go to your doctor, and and like
Mhm.
it's all gone.
It's all gone.
Like, and how weird or emotional or like comforting can you make an experience
Mhm.
when you consider all of those restrictions that we used to have aren't there anymore?
Yeah. Yeah, I hate to be a Pollyannish and to say, oh, it's beautiful, but I could be it could be cranky, an old cranky person, but I
Same.
just kind of like playing with it right now, and
Yeah,
but
and fair. And I think as long as you look at it from both angles, that seems to be a
yeah.
reasonable. But anyway, we've taken more than an hour, and I'm feeling badly for you. Do you have any closing statements before I press stop on the recording?
Mm, Hopefully, you'll be able just to say stop in the future and you won't have to press that button.
Yeah.